Hey guys, what's going on? Shane here. Today I have for you the full review on the Krytac P90. So e-bike has been throwing these in boxes, which is a little upsetting, and I'll tell you why. So the P90 on a lot of boxes, probably about a year, not even a year ago, probably like 6 months ago, was like a top prize. It was like a one-of-one box. And everything like that, so it was like a big deal. I mean, these things are $450, and I'm not sure why the price point was so high. I think it was just so hyped because there's only a few P90s on the market. It was like on the one-of-one boxes, and then all of a sudden they're putting out 30 boxes with P90s as the prize, like the last like 3 or 4 boxes. So it kind of pisses you off if you were to get that one-of-one P90, and now they're like pretty much guaranteeing a base box with the P90. You'd be a little upset. So it is wired to Deans, but they give you a Deans to Tamiya converter, which is nice if you have Tamiya batteries and you're not a Deans user. So it has that front side adjustment tool. That's mine actually. You can get your cool little Krytac sticker, but Effin Herschel, completely licensed, all that good stuff. Before we get started on the actual replica itself, I'm going to talk about this manual. This manual is awesome. I wish more companies would give a manual like this. Is at the very end they give you a breakdown diagram, and you can see how detailed it is. That's the outer, and they even give you the gearbox breakdown. So you can see everything inside that gearbox, which is awesome. I mean, it breaks it completely down, which is great. So, get right into the magazine first. One thing I will say about the mag is, so on a lot of P90s, mag switching was always I hated because it's such a weird stick mag thing. But this actually fits perfectly. I mean, it goes right in, straight in, locks. Very, very well made mag. Another nice thing about it too is you do a 200 round magazine, and it's kind of see-through, so you can see all the springs and components. But it has a nice little switch here. Boom, 50 rounds. Very, very nice. So you can go something a little more realistic, 50, and then go to 200 if you need some more space. And it has a little mag follower that I love so much, so that's awesome. It'll feed out pretty much every last round. I think there'll be one stuck in the hop-up chamber at the end when I was shooting it earlier. And it does have last round cutoff, which is awesome. You know how much I love that. You don't have to actually like push any buttons or anything. As soon as you put the new mag in, it instantly resets. So you don't have to like pull the charging handle back or anything like that. Because I actually couldn't even find there's no bolt release on this. The bolt does not lock back, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so it is TM mag compatible, so any Tokyo Marine mags that you have, it's good to go. I got a feeling these did not sell as well as planned just because of the amount that I've seen in mystery boxes, and generally the stuff that doesn't sell is kind of what you see in mystery boxes if they put a lot of them in there. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the outer. So it's 503 millimeters, that's 20 inches for my American friends here. It's 2.29 kilos, and that comes out to about 5 pounds. It's definitely heavy. It is not a light replica by any means, and a lot of the weight is going to come from your gearbox, and then this upper assembly is full metal. This whole thing's full metal, and it's polymer lower, but it has a really good weight to it. It's got the gearbox in the back, so it is back heavy, which is perfect because whenever you're moving around, all the weight's here, so you can switch around and move up and down, and you're not front heavy at all. So they do have a full metal rail up here, so you can put your optics on it, and it actually comes with backup sights built in. So as you can see right there a little bit, there's kind of a M16 style front sight, and then what you probably can't see here is there's a tiny little hole right there, and so whenever you pull it up, you can actually look through that hole and use it as backup sights. One thing I will say is the hole is tiny, and if you're looking to get something quick, it's going to be very difficult without practicing a lot. They probably could have milled that hole out just a little bit to give a better sight picture, but I mean, with the rail already being on here, you're probably going to throw a red dot or something on it. So it does have ambidextrous control, so your selector switch is actually right here. You got safe, single, and auto. And it's ambi right there. Pretty cool. I like it. Let me put this mag back in here, give you the full picture. The polymer is nice and nice. Everything is awesome. I'm digging the weight of it, the feel of it. It feels it does not feel cheap, and it shouldn't for $450. Okay, so one nice thing about this P90 as well as I think most of the other ones is that you slide off. Oh goodness! You slide off the butt plate here, and then you have your quick change spring. So all you gotta do is throw a screwdriver in there. Bam, comes out. The removable gearbox is removable. You take some of these bolts out here, and then it just slides right out the back, which is really cool too. And the manual actually tells you how to do that. This is probably one of the most easy disassembling replicas I've really seen because to get the upper off, all you have to do, there's a button, you push it, and it comes right out. And then the hop up, you push it in, twist it, comes right out. Really easy to take down, and it might actually be a lot easier to work on than you would think. Alright, so it does have 8mm ball bearings. It's a Dean's, but it does have the Tamiya converter, so that's nice. So the hop up is interesting. So the hop up actually sits right here underneath. You might be able to see this. Let's try to get in the light. Pull the charging handle back, and that port opens up, and you have your Krytac rotary hop up. And it does have the clicks, which is nice, so you can click it and get perfect adjustment, and no sort of vibration is going to cause it to throw your hop up off. I did take the inner barrel out, so it had a blue bucking. I'm not sure what it was. It had the bucking that comes down, like the mound on the hop up bucking. It was these two little things that comes down. It did use Krytac's orange nub, which actually slides in so it doesn't fall out of the hop up, and that is kind of nice. So the inner barrel, so the reason you use bullpups, or the reason bullpups are nice, especially in Airsoft, is it allows the inner barrel to be way longer. So in a Shorty M4, you'd be looking at a barrel that's like this big, right? And it would still probably stick out further than this thing does. So it has a 255mm inner barrel, and you could hype that up to 363 with a small suppressor on the end. So you're getting a PDW Beyond Tiny package with a nice long barrel in it. They did come standard with a 6.05. It's brass. It looked pretty polished though when I looked down it, but I would like to see a 6.03, especially at this price point, and maybe even a steel barrel, to be honest, just because the price point's so high. So some of the special features of this specifically, let me throw a battery in here real quick. I got a 7.4 LiPo that I'm going to throw in, and they boast like 25 rounds per second or something like that on 11.1. I don't think that's the case. And then we'll talk about my experience with the 11.1 so far. So 7.1, so you're going to pull your trigger, take down semi. Oh, there's nothing in the, there we go. Okay, so you have your trigger pull, right, on semi. So we're going to put it on full auto. I'm going to pull it back, gives you full auto, but on full auto, if you just slightly pull the trigger, it just gives you semi, and then if you pull it the rest of the way, it goes to full auto. So you can go to full auto, semi, 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 full auto. That is kind of a neat thing. That's pretty awesome. I think the AUG does that as well, and that is cool. One thing I did not realize until I read the manual is it actually has an adjustable trigger, which I thought was kind of crazy. So they don't provide you with an Allen key, and I've said it before, I hate replicas that have a special thing that they don't provide the tool for. Yeah, you should probably have an Allen key this size laying around if you do any sort of like maintenance on anything, but that's not the point. Anyway, there's a slot right here. You put the gun to safe, and then you stick your Allen key in. And to shorten the trigger pull, I'm going to have to go to the manual to make sure I get this right. So clockwise elongates the trigger pull. Counterclockwise makes it shorter. So we're going to give it a couple of turns. Actually, I'm just going to max it out and see how short we can get this trigger pull. Might as well. This might take a while. Okay, let's see where we're at here. Okay, so that absolutely shortens it, because it's definitely shorter than it was. Let's keep going. Okay, this trigger pull is dramatically shorter, like dramatically. Just make sure you put it back on safe before you adjust. So let's see if we can get this a hair trigger. This is a really sweet feature because there's nothing worse than a long trigger pull, and bullpups are known to have the longest trigger pulls known to man. I'm going to say that's about as far as I want to take it. Let's get the trigger pull gauge out and see what we're looking at here. I think the last replica I did was the Lancer Tacticool, and it had a 12-ounce trigger pull. So it'll be interesting to see how much this is, especially if I've shortened the trigger pull. I don't know if the force required is going to be different. Okay, so we got it on single, put it on there. Oh God, 2 pounds 12 ounces worth of trigger pull. Do this again. So I got 2 pounds 13 ounces. It's definitely not the easiest trigger pull I've ever seen. I'm waiting for one of these bullpup companies to come out with just to put a micro switch here, right? Put a micro switch at the trigger, or an optical switch or something, and just run a wire to the gearbox. I don't know why they don't do that instead of relying on a mechanism that goes all the way through the body to hit the micro switch on the gearbox. It just doesn't make sense, but hey, it is what it is. So yeah, so it's got a very, very hard trigger pull. I think I'd be hard pressed to find too many more replicas that have a trigger pull that's that hard. Yeah, so that's all the kind of cool, weird stuff about it. I will say right off the bat, this is fun to shoot. They talk about battery space being a problem. So what's really weird is I have a small nunchuck battery here, 11.1 LiPo, right? And it fits perfectly in there, and I can get the back off, and it fits great. And this is a, 2,200 mile battery. However, my 7.4s are just a little bit longer, and it would not shut with it inside. So I'm going to do rounds per second on a 7.4, then we'll switch over to the 11.1. Alright, one thing I do want to say is, so I just loaded up this magazine. It was so satisfying in a really nerdy way that while I was loading it, you watch the BBs go all the way around and compress the spring. I don't know why it was so satisfying. It's super nerdy, but just something I really liked. Alright, let's throw this thing in here. Alright, so I'm actually going to do some shooting first on the target, and then we will get into the chronoing. So I'm going to do, put it on single. I'm going to do top 3. I'm just going to double tap each of them. So fairly accurate. These iron sights aren't the easiest to work with, but I think it's pretty cool. So I'm going to do, actually I'm going to give them each a 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to do a full auto, 1 into full auto. Fairly accurate. I like it. It's not that far, obviously, but it's pretty cool. Let's throw the old chrono machine in here and check and see where we're at with FPS on this bit. 347.1. 347.1. 346. 346.9. 346.3. So the compression is really good. Now I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be shooting 400. I want to say that they only offer the 400 version. Let me check the box. Yeah, so it doesn't say about anything inside of it, but I'm fairly certain this is supposed to be shooting 400, and I loaded in 0.20 BBs, so that's interesting. Now let's check out this rate of fire. 13.4. 13.4 again, so it's pretty consistent. 13.4 is pretty slow. It is a 7.1, but I don't know, we'll see. Let's throw this 11.1 on here and see. So earlier whenever I was shooting this, I was having some double cycling problems. Yeah, not a big fan. I did read a little bit on the old interwebs about that happening. So now we got the 11.1 on here. Let's go to single, and I'm just going to double tap some of the tops. Yeah, see, there's double cycling right there. So you can tell you have a little bit of, it's got a little motor overspin, which is weird because it has a MOSFET in it, so it must not have active braking or anything. So what's happening is it's got so much voltage that it's overspinning that, and it's pre-cocking that piston back just a tad. You can hear it because you'll hear it wind up on some shots, and some shots it just goes where it's almost pre-cocked, and that's causing extra voltage. So every 3 or 4 shots you're getting double shot. See, that one did 3, so there you go. That's a little disappointing, especially the price point on this thing. How are you going to be overshooting? That blows my mind. That's an obvious con. So since it's shooting 350, you can easily put in a M120 to shoot 400 with this thing, and with that strength of spring, I'm going to tell you it's probably going to stay on single shot pretty well. Let's check out this rate of fire, though. Whew, all right, 22.65. I'm not going to do a second one on that because I think I'm out of BBs. It shoots 340 on full auto because the compression sometimes changes when you got it moving that fast. So 22.5 ain't bad, not bad at all. But for this should be shooting, 20 rounds a second. So you're not going to go out and shoot 500 feet per second with this. This is not a DMR. You could make it into a DMR. But this is a CQB weapon, or it's outdoors with a longer barrel, right? So This should be shooting closer to 18, 19 on a 7.4 and closer to 30 on a 11.1, in my opinion, especially for the price point. Because you're not putting a high torque motor in here. You should be putting a high speed motor. It's an SMG. That's kind of what it is. So yeah, I'd call that a little bit of a con as well. Okay, well, all right. So rating time. This is going to be an extremely hard one to rate because it is so nice. It fires well. Everything. The double cycling. Whoa, that was a huge, huge drawback. But it's hard for me to give this a high rating because of the price. This thing is almost $450. So like if it was closer to $350, like $350, I'd probably go with a straight 7 on it. However, with it being that much, I'm just have to go 5. I hate to go low like that, but $450 is just not worth this. If this was $350, I call it a straight 7. And the overspinning on the motor, it's got a MOSFET in it. There's no reason you should be getting overspin on the motor. I understand it doesn't have active braking, but yeah, it doesn't even make any sense. You could put the higher FPS spring in here. It'd probably take care of most of those problems, but it's very difficult for me to give this a high rating whenever it's double, even triple feeding on some single shots right off the bat. But the adjustable trigger is cool. It's not as adjustable. Trigger pull's still heavy. I don't know why they shouldn't put a micro switch in there and call it good. That's what they need to do. Yeah, so I'm going to have to go with 5 on this. I hate to say it. It's just the price point is too high. There is no doubt about that. I don't think there's anybody out there right now that won't say the price point is way too high on this. I don't know what Krytac was thinking. It cannot. There's no way. You're telling me to manufacture this, it costs enough to where they need to put the price point that high? You have full metal M4s, upgraded internals, the whole shebang, and the price point is still around $350, $300 for stuff like that. So I don't understand it. I don't know if it's a money grab or what. I do understand that it's one thing to take an M4 body that's already been researched and everything, and you have to completely redesign it. But the body's already been made by multiple other companies, and don't act like they don't take other companies' work and use their intellectual property. Let's be honest here. You're not going to build something from the ground up whenever you can take a mock-up, change some things, and call it your own. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's business. It is what it is. So yeah, 5. Sorry. Got to do it. Sorry, Krytac. And I like Krytac a lot, but I cannot get behind how much they're charging for this thing. Yeah. So, well, hope you enjoyed the review. Like, subscribe, share, ring the bell, shameless plug, all that good stuff. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you